Hello there, everybody. Welcome to The Verdict. Yes, we go again. I can't promise the same fare that we brought you last week with analysis of the Kazoo Derby and the Kazoo Oaks, but I can promise some very good stuff for you. 6 races in total. We had a lot to choose from. Hope I've chosen 6 that you are going to enjoy and find interesting. We have horses for your racing TV tracker. We have horses that have sectional upgrades to their name. And we have a sprinter as well who may well go to Royal Ascot next Friday and will be very competitive indeed. So there's a lot to enjoy on The Verdict this time around. And we are going to start in the middle of last week at Haydock Park with a nice front-running performance from a horse who is going forward, and we might see him in the John Smith's Cup later on this season. He is Pride of America, and he was the 6-5 on favourite. Strawberry was 100-30. 9-2 Gifted Ruler, and Vanity Affair was a 13-2 shot. Going at Haydock was officially described as soft, and therefore the final times were quite slow. Overall, this is an interesting contest, not just because of what the winner achieved from the front under Sylvester de Sousa, but what some of those in behind were able to do. The winner came from stall number 4 on the wide outside there. The runner-up was Vanity Fair from stall 2, and the third was Strawberry. Let's send them on their way here. Pretty straightforward stuff for the winner, Pride of America, who's very progressive for the Amy Murphy team, and he's going forward at a rate of knots and seemed to handle the cut in the ground very well here. And that might be a little bit of a caveat going forward as far as his career is concerned. This was a Class 3 handicap in which they went very steady early on. Keep an eye on Vanity Fair at the back here. Very keen throughout the course of this race, reefing and pulling, but he still managed to finish in second place, and it was a pretty good effort from him in the closing stages. Strawberry sat third at this stage and ultimately will finish third, and the winner out in front is getting something of a solo. The finishing speed percentage, 104.11. So this was really well rated by Sylvester de Sousa. You can afford to look over his shoulder there. He's doing what he wants out in front, and this horse finishes off the final 3 furlongs 4.11% quicker than he ran the previous 8 furlongs in the race. So Sylvester has saved plenty for the closing stages. And if you look on the Racing TV website and look at the closing sectionals, you'll see that he was able to finish off quite strongly in this race. And he does so from a positional advantage. Here, he's just picked up the pace a little bit. He'd been going even 12s down the back. He's just picked it up between the 5 and the 4, dipping under 12 seconds. And look, he's established quite an advantage over his rivals. Look at the gap between them. And your winner's here, he's out in front, he's clear and gone. And there's the runner-up. He's ceded him a lot of distance in a steadily run affair. And he's therefore going to be impossible to catch. If de Sousa had gone too hard out in front and was going to get tired in the soft ground, then yes, this horse, Pride of America, is catchable, but not given the fractions that they went. And the final 3 furlongs are very telling. Let me cite them to you. The winner, 37.35 for 3 furlongs, the last 3. The runner-up, 36.9. So the runner-up, Vanity Fair, quicker than the winner in the last 3 furlongs. The third, 37.13. Even the third, Strawberry, is quicker than the winner in the last 3 furlongs. But they've got an impossible task trying to close down Pride of America, who was brilliantly ridden from the front by de Sousa, established a huge positional advantage and was not for catching thereafter. So what do we do? Do we say that the winner was flattered and that Vanity Fair and Strawberry should be marked up? I'm not having that at all. I think this winner is a very good horse indeed. I think there's a lot more to come from Pride of America. I think he was miles better than his rivals. Yes, they gave him a bit of an easy out in front, but he could only do what he did, and he's absolutely thrashed them, and he's eased down by de Sousa in the closing stages. He probably could have run the final furlong a little bit quicker than he did. The second and the third, well, the second was too keen and is going to have to settle down, perhaps wants a better gallop, and the third, maybe as good as that horse is, Strawberry, back in third place. But this winner, John Smith's Cup, could be the target. We've seen a lot of horses here on The Verdict over the last few weeks that might be taking part in the John Smith's Cup, and this could be another one. I'm not saying he's going to be competitive that because of his run style. He likes to get on with it out in front, and surely he'll never get a trip like this ever again. But he's a good horse going forward and making rapid strides for the Amy Murphy team. And I'm interested to see how he gets on in a much more competitive affair like that John Smith's Cup. And I'm sure they'll target that with Pride of America. Yeah, we're going to stay at Haydock Park now for a novice stakes in the middle of last week. 6 furlongs was the trip. The 4 to 7 favourite was changing colours. He's Mitbaahy out of the Shamadal mare. Harlem Knights is 11 to 2 and a drifter. Captain Winters was 8 to 1. Gifted Angel 10s, same for Nova Portion, and it was 18 to 1. And bigger the rest. And it was changing colours who duly obliged for Godolphin. William Buick, Charlie Appleby Williams had a tremendous week in his pursuit of the Jockeys Championship. And I think this is quite a nice horse going forward, changing colours. Let's have a look and see what panned out. He came out of stall number 7. He's obviously in the Godolphin blue. Revision came out of stall number 2. Load up your racing TV trackers. Nova Portion came from stall number 3. Right, we'll send them on the way and see how this race unfolded. Changing Colours was always prominent. He looks like a very straightforward individual who just got on with the job. But to me, he looks like a horse who is devoid of a lot of speed. I think he just stays well, and I think 7 furlongs and maybe a mile by the end of the year is going to really suit him. He was ridden like he's a horse who wants to be up there, who's going to get the 6 furlongs well. Remember, we were dealing with soft ground here. And he was up with a contested pace throughout. He did, however, quicken best in the field. If you look at the course track sectionals, furlong 5 of 12.12 was the fastest furlong in the race. He was able to quicken and establish a bit of an advantage over the runner-up. And the runner-up is Revision here in the black cap. This is a good performance from him. I think he was in the wrong part of the track. He saw a lot of daylight and he came home nicely here, and he must be put in your racing TV tracker. The winner, his final 3 furlongs, 37.18. Revision was 37.12, so just slightly quicker, but coming from a bit further back. And with that furlong that the winner fired of 12.12, he's just established a bit of an advantage over his field, and Revision can't peg him back. But he did come home strongly according to the numbers, and is a must Revision for your racing TV tracker. And trainer Kevin Ryan's undoubtedly going to find a race for Revision in the near future. Suffice to say, I think it might well be next time out for him. As you look at this angle, look how the winner moves. Remember, Mitbaahy out of a Shamadal mare. He's got knee curl and he doesn't really stretch. He hits the ground quite hard in front, and I wonder whether he'd be very effective on dirt. I think he might, given the way that he moves. And Mitbaahy's handled dirt, Shamadal's handled dirt as well, so he might just be a Godolphin horse for Meydan when Meydan comes around the carnival next year. He might be a 3-year-old for the carnival there. I think he's well worth a try on dirt, given his pedigree and the way he moves. You can see it there. He's not really stretching out with straight legs. He's not got a fast ground pedigree. He'd have been suited by a bit of cut here. And I think one thing that will really suit him is stretching out a bit more. He's clearly got some speed. He's got a tremendous attitude. He quickened up okay. It wasn't a lightning turn of foot, but I think the ground as it rode at Haydock at this meeting did blunt some of the horse's speed. But nonetheless, he quickened up okay with the furlong that I highlighted, and he was able to win okay. The race was quite evenly run, 102.7% the finishing speed percentage. So overall, this is quite a good performance from Changing Colours. Look at him there. He's a good-looking son of Mitbaahy. Mitbaahy's get better with age as well. I would like to see him on the dirt at Meydan, but I'm biased, and I think we're going to see him again on the turf, but up in trip next time out, and indeed up in grade. He's pretty good, Changing Colours. Saturday night at Leicester might not be an obvious place to go to highlight a race here on the Verdict, but I think this is worth looking at, particularly the winner. It was a 1.53-yard handicap on quick ground, good to firm, good in places. He's a Gentleman was the 2-1 favourite. First View was 3-1. Noble Mark was 3. 7-2 Du Esprit, and Katie's Kitten was a 20-1 shot. This is all about the Saeed bin Sarur trained First View. We're going to talk a lot about him and a lot about his history in this race and just have a look at what he's achieved in the past and how his career path has gone. They jump out with Katie's Kitten going to the front against the rail with the sheepskin noseband. He's a gentleman tucked in behind, festooned in sheepskin, and out wide, going easily, is First View, who's trained by Saeed bin Saror, who got him to win a couple of times at Kempton Park before they decided to take him to Meydan, and they raced him on the dirt and he absolutely hated it. And they suddenly realised that, and then they raced him on the turf at Meydan. But the experience of the dirt had done him in my opinion, and he ran very badly on the turf. So what happened? He needed a break, and he got 811 days to be precise, and then he's come back and he's run really well on his reappearance, and then he has won here, and he's done so in good style off a mark of 84, giving away £15 to the 3-year-olds in second and third. I think this fella is pretty good. His final time was just all right. They didn't go that hard out in front. It was 1 minute 43.21. And how do we know they didn't go hard? The finishing speed percentage, 105.78. The winner has quickened up well. He's come home 5.78% quicker than he ran the rest of the race, giving lumps of weight away to these under Charlie Howarth. Look at it now. He's beginning to surge, and he runs away really strongly from his rivals in the closing stages. This was quite impressive between the 2 and the 1 on the course track sectionals. 11.97's where he surged between the 2 and the 1, and that finished the race off. I want to crab him a tiny bit. There is a little flash of the tail when he comes under pressure inside the final furlong, but I don't think I'm going to hold that against him at this stage of his career, for he's lightly raced. He's now back off a layoff, and he looks like he's going to be as good as ever. When he won at Kempton a long time ago, he fired a very good time form speed figure, and I think he's capable of even better than that. 84 underestimated his ability, clearly, and he's entered, guess where, yet another one on the verdict is in the John Smith's Cup. Now that is probably legitimate now. He's going to be a 90 horse after this, and he's going to stay further. That's the important point about the John Smith's Cup over 10 furlongs. This is a mile. He's got loads of stamina on the dam side of the pedigree. He is by Exceed and Excel, so he's always going to want decent ground on turf. But the dam side, the distaff side, is chocker full of stamina. So I think 10 furlongs is going to suit him going forward. And do remember that Exceed and Excels, they go very well at Ascot. So maybe 10 furlongs at Ascot one day is a place where you'll see this fella. But his career now is firmly back on track. It could have gone horribly wrong, having tasted the dirt at Meydan. Some horses run on that dirt at Meydan and they don't come back from it if they don't like it. But he has. That's to his credit and to Saeed bin Saror's credit for getting him back. And now I think, although the race was steadily run and although the final time wasn't very good, I think we've seen a really good horse giving lumps of weight away to 3-year-olds in behind him. I put it to you now that we are going to see something very special in the Coral Scurry Stakes that took place at Sandown on Saturday. Listed race, 5 furlongs, Couture 13-8, Living the Dream 9-4, Mitbaahy 9-2 from 11-2, 8-1 Get Ahead, Illustrating 11-1, and At a Girl a 20-1 shot. Oh, this is very good from Mitbaahy, your winner here. I think he is a sprinter going places. Let's send him on the way and I'll pick him out for you. And just watch the way he travels through this race, which was run at a pretty good pace. He's dropped in here. Frankie goes to the front and Living the Dream. He's there with a big white face. And here's Mitbaahy, sat in behind, just there. And watch the way he goes through the race. He goes through very strongly indeed. He wants to go faster. These horses in this listed race cannot go fast enough for him. There he is pulling. He wants to go into that gap. Jockey won't let him go. He's hanging on to him. And he'll wait and he'll wait and he'll wait. And then he will launch him into this race to produce a final time of 1 minute 1.22 over the uphill 5 at Sandown. And his third furlong, 11.25 now as he goes, as he begins to surge. But look, he's doing it hard on the bridle. He's absolutely motionless on board him, his jockey, while the others They're hard at it. He's still hard on the bridle. He's not moved, he's not changed his hands, he's not done anything. But when he does, look at this. The response is instant. This is a sprint, remember, and he's ceded Frankie Dettori an easy lead and a few lengths, but he's just surged clear of them in the closing stages. I thought that was very, very impressive indeed. That 11.25 furlong thrusting him to the front, and he wins going away. He's a very progressive 3-year-old sprinter. The stiff 5 furlongs definitely suited him, and I think that suggests that 6 will be no problem for him whatsoever going forward. He's by a very good sprinter. He's by Profitable, who trainer Clive Cox trained as well and did so very well with. Clive's got a good record with sprinters that he has through his hands, and we're going to see another one later on here on the verdict. But I think this is a very good 3-year-old sprinter. A strongly run 5 is clearly no problem. Look at the way that he travels. Angle to the outside now, still on the bridle, and he picks up really well to sprint clear of these. Still not moved on him. I mean, this is for me one of the most impressive performances of last week. And the most exciting thing about it is you might get a chance to see him at Ascot on Friday, for he is entered there over 5 furlongs. And do you know what? I think they might go there with him because he's not really had a hard race here. He's won very comfortably. I don't think the jockey really got stuck into him, and they might just go Ascot Friday. And that stiff 5 there is going to suit this horse. It really is, and he's probably going to get a good pace to go at, and he'll sit in behind and travel like this. And I wouldn't be surprised if he goes very well at Royal Ascot on Friday. He's a most exciting sprinter. We'll see another one later on, as I mentioned, but this horse could be very good indeed, and he hails from a yard that could not be in better nick. A yard indeed who are going to send 16 horses, well, they intend to send 16 horses to the Royal Meeting, so it's going to be interesting to see how they get on, because they go there in tremendous form. But this is a must for your racing TV tracker. He's very good. He's a 3-year-old sprinter on the up, and the listed races are a thing of the past now for Mitbaahy. Remember the name. From Sandown, we make our way to York at the weekend, and Saturday afternoon saw the Sky Bet Race to the Ebor Grand Cup Stakes. Listed status just shy of 1 3/4 miles, and it's a win and you're in race for the Ebor itself. The very valuable Ebor, and Mandub was 6-4 favourite. Kamari, 100-30 without a fight, was 4-1. 7-1 John Leaper, Yukon Glen 10s, and the one Smooth Operator, 25-1. Mandub went off the 6-4 favourite. This is a messy race, a steadily run race, but a race that produces a winner who I think is pretty good, and I think he might have a say in the Ebor itself. It's without a fight, who came out of the outside gate, and he beats John Leaper into second place. Let's see how this race unfolded. It turned into a bit of a dash really through the final 3 furlongs. They crawled early on, and they crawled courtesy of a horse who won the Queen's Vase, you remember last year at the Royal Meeting, Kamari in the Godolphin Blue. But you can visually see there, you don't need any figures to tell you that they're going no pace whatsoever. And in this horse here, this will tell you all you need to know really. This is Yukon Glen. Now he's usually here in races that are run at a strong gallop. He just can't normally go the pace. He's not a hold-up horse. He just can't go the pace normally, and then he finishes off his races really strongly. But here, he's actually keen and pulling. They are going so steady out in front. The final time was 3 minutes 2.86. That is nothing flash whatsoever. And the finishing speed percentage tells us all that we need to know, all that we can see visually. They look like they're crawling. Are they crawling? Look at the numbers and they will confirm what your eyes tell you. That's not always the case, but they will here. 113.42%. So they finished the race 13.42% quicker than they ran the early part of it. So mile 3 was an absolute crawl. Now the winner is pulling. He's keen towards the outside of Kamari. He's been moved up a little bit by Andre Etseni. Here he is. But you can see his head carriage there. Look, you can even see there that his head's up in the air. He's got his mouth open and he's pulling quite hard. And thus it is to his credit that he's able to finish off the race as strongly as he does. And I'll give you the final 3 furlongs when we get there. It'll take us a while given the slow pace that they go. Before we get there, the performance of John Leaper needs something of an upgrade. Ryan Moore was riding, and this horse is gradually, slowly fulfilling some of the potential that we saw as a 3-year-old. He's not quite there yet, but this was not run to suit him. Here he is, tucked in there in the yellow cap, and off a very steady gallop with the winner towards the 4, half a length off the leader, Kamari. He's at a real positional disadvantage, John Leaper, and he runs pretty well in the circumstances to get through for second without being subjected to a hard ride. And there might be a decent prize in him for the Ed Dunlop team somewhere down the line. Today, or Saturday, was not to be his day. It was Without a Fight, who now, having his sights lowered here, is quite impressive through the closing stages. He's a stayer with a turn of foot, there's no doubt about that, and I think he could well be a player in the Ebor. They've got to have a go now, you would have thought, given the manner of his win here. He's done it at the track, and there's a big prize on offer. We're getting to that point where we need to highlight his final 3 furlongs. Remember, a staying race, a 1.75 mile race. Well, it was a joke as far as staying was concerned, but it wasn't as far as being able to quicken up is concerned, and now they quicken. Kamari goes, Without a Fight follows, the rest under the pump. John Leaper now, look, one paced in last, finding it all too much at this stage. Without a Fight isn't though, for he's about to fire 11.23, a 10.9 and an 11.71. That is too much for Kamari, who's a stayer. He needs a stronger gallop, really. He set a gallop not to suit himself, and he's probably not himself at the moment. He's not the horse that we saw in the Queen's Vase. Without a Fight, he's sprinted now. He's beginning to get a little bit tired through the last half furlong, but he's done enough. And look, right down on the inside, here he comes. John Leaper, readily outpaced when that sprint began, but now coming home quite strongly in the closing stages. Yukon Glen sticking to his task. He wouldn't be out of the way in a strongly run Ebor, or even up in grade, because we know how good Yukon Glen can be when he gets a strong pace to go at. But one thing that has to be said about the winner, Without a Fight, he did pull quite hard. He was a little bit tired at the end. That's because he pulled in the early stages and used up petrol. But he might be even better when he gets a strong gallop, because he'll probably drop his head, then get a bit of cover on him. He got no cover here. Get a bit of cover, drop his head, travel strongly, and then utilise this turn of foot. We know from the numbers he can quicken. 10.9 the penultimate furlong. For a stayer, he's quick. He can quicken, but he's got to drop his head. He's got to get some cover, travel sweetly, and then use that turn of foot at the right time. And if they can do that, he'll be a player in the Ebor, for which generally he is round about a 12-1 shot. That seems pretty fair. Obviously it's going to be a hugely competitive race, but he's an interesting horse. He's getting his act together now, and the Ebor will probably be for him, you would have thought. You'd have thought that's where his trainer Roger Varian will want to send him, and 12-1, he makes some appeal. Let's have a look at the big sprint at York on Saturday afternoon at 3:46 furlongs. Was the trip on Quick Grand. It was the Heritage Handicap, a valuable one, a Class 2 contest, and Ingrator was the 7-2 favourite. Anaf was 13-2, Harry 3 15-2, along with Showtime Mahome. Roach Power 9s, it was 12-1, and bigger the rest. And it was that man, Clive Cox, once again with another 3-year-old sprinter. We saw Mitbaahy earlier on winning the Scurry Stakes at Sandown in hugely impressive fashion. And we've got a very good time performance from his Harry 3, who came out of stall 19, right here. Ryan Moore booked to ride. Interesting. Lucky Man came from 2, and he finished second. Devast from 16 was back in third. So they're all over the place here as far as the draw's concerned. And Lethal Levi here, also trained by Clive Cox, was back in 4th place. This is what happened here in a very strongly run sprint. That's what you get at York when you get this number of runners, and you get a tremendously well judged ride from Ryan Moore. For he realised they were going very hard up front, and he tucks in and he seeds them 8-9 lengths in a 6 furlong sprint. Look where he is there, tucked in last place in there. And these horses up front are going very hard. They include there, in the white sleeves and orange body, Lethal Levi. who's a horse we'll talk about later on as being one that we need to keep an eye on going forward, for he did the best of the pace setters. But look where Ryan is, sat last. They're going very hard. And we know Ryan's got this right because the finishing speed percentage 105.59, and that's for the winner. So Ryan has judged this to perfection. So his horse comes home 5.59% quicker in the final 3 furlongs than he ran the rest of the race. He got some trouble, and then Ryan decides he was in, at this point, he was in here about, not there, apologies, he was in here in a pocket, he was stuck, and he decides to switch and come up the rail, and he gets a beautiful run now. And this horse comes home very strongly. He finishes the race off really well for a fine final time of 1 minute 11.06. Look at the way he picks up. Yes, those in the middle of the course are getting tired. They've all gone very hard. Course Track Sectional said they went really hard in the early stages. Ryan sat last. He waited, and then he saved enough petrol to get his horse to come home strongly, as that finishing speed percentage tells us. He really did finish off very hard. This has produced a good time figure this race, and there could be more to come from this fella. He won here off a mark of 97. Well, he's going to be up 105 somewhere there or thereabouts, maybe 100, 104, something like that. But he's a really good 3-year-old sprinter, and look at that, the 5th furlong, 10.9 this horse fired. He had enough energy left to do that when others around him were getting tired and unable to dip under 11 seconds. He was able to do so. And that really was a brilliant ride from Ryan Moore. I think Clive Cox, trainer of the winner, said as much after the race, that Ryan got this absolutely spot on. Not sure where this winner's going to go next. I'm sure Clive Cox will have a plan with him, but he looked very useful indeed. And he's got a good hand in the 3-year-old sprinting division with this fella and with Mitbaahy as well. Ryan Moore afterwards, and I quote, said, "There probably won't be too many handicaps for him now." That was what Ryan Moore had to say, and Ryan was actually in an interview afterwards really impressed with this horse. He's not often very effusive about horses that he's ridden, but he was about this horse, and we should very much take that on board. Harry 3, one of the best time figures of the week. He should go in your tracker. And also from that race, Lethal Levi, up with that fierce early gallop, and he did best of those that was prominent in that race, and I think he'll be winning a decent handicap in the near future. So lots that we've seen here on the verdict this week. I hope you've enjoyed it. I was so impressed with Mitbaahy in the Scurry Stakes at Sandown, equally impressed with what Harry 3 did on the clock, and I think we've seen some decent horses going forward, certainly horses that are going to win races in the next few weeks. That's all from me on the verdict. I'll see you next time.